Have you ever seen this graph? Perhaps you have, perhaps you haven't. The importance doesn't quite lie there. See, this graph is a graph claiming that it has inarguable proof the 2020 election was rigged. Now, let me be clear. I'm not neither arguing for nor against that claim, but I am trying to show you something bigger, a bigger picture. Because I want to show you that this graph and many graphs that I will show you later on in the video use misinformation and a style of graph that makes information to be something out that it really isn't. So, what is wrong with this graph? Well, for starters, whenever you look at the graph, you should always look at the scale, and especially where it starts. Fair graph almost always starts at 0. This gives a true representation. Now you may be wondering why this matters, and for that I will just show you. Let's look at an example, a graph that I created. In this graph there are 3 people, Tommy, Eli, Jared, and the graph is comparing the amount of dollars they have. Eli has 3, Tommy has 4, and Jared has 6. Now, if we look at this graph that I've purposely made to misrepresent the information, we realize that even though Jared has $2 more than Tommy and $3 more than Eli, it looks as it has been more than doubled. So what does it look like starting at 0? Well, there you go. Plus, we're counting by ones, which, given the circumstances, seems to be quite reasonable. Now this graph make now the graph makes sense. If you took 3/4 of Tommy, you would have Eli's, and etc. So now, let's move back to the other graph. And I'm gonna be honest, this once fooled me. I thought it was quite interesting. But after rearranging the graph, it loses a lot of its impressiveness. And you'll see this. But before we change the scale, I want to address one more thing, and that is checking the numbers, or just simply looking at the credibility of where they got the numbers. A single Google search can tell us that Kamala did not get 65 million votes, as well as Trump. He got actually 77 million. Now, to be clear, I don't think this was purposely done on the person who made this graphs, because I remember seeing this graph immediately after Election Day, right after it was called, and at that time, Kamala really did have 65 million votes. This was mainly due to the East Coast not really have been counted fully because that's very left leaning. So, like 10 million of her votes were still uncounted. So, in the end, she ended up at about 75 million. And yeah, but even if we didn't add the 10 million votes, just by changing the scale, it still would lose its impressiveness. So, let's see what it looks like fixed. Suddenly, that seems much more reasonable, or at least more debatable. Obviously, there's still a spike between Hillary's votes and Biden's, and then down to Kamala's, but this time it doesn't look nearly as much, as there really is no straight line, which seemed to be implying that the number of Democratic voters have remained the same. In reality, the Democrats still produced 75 million voters this time around, even though they had 81 in the back. Now, it's easy to point fingers at Republicans, but this is actually far from a single party issue. The entire world of politics is known to be filled with brim with fake info and, of course, faulty graphs. All right, so take for instance this graph posted by the Democrats on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. It labels, "This is Trump's America." The highest grocery prices of all time hit in 2025. Now, let's again take what we have learned and figure this out. I mean, first of all, it doesn't start at 0. And for this one, guys, it's not as big of a deal because they're trying to focus more on zoomed in. And I mean, that's kind of what we've learned, that taking that away kind of zooms it in. But like for that, like you got to know that like a mountain this size and a mountain twice the size, that doesn't mean that grocery prices went up twice the amount. But they're still trying to look in, kind of like zoomed in. How much are the groceries going up? But another question I want to ask though is, where is this information coming from? I mean, I didn't find a source. Maybe I missed it. But yeah, I mean, where are they getting it from? And like, maybe I missed this next one too. But the y-axis isn't labeled. I mean, the x-axis has the years, fair enough. But the y-axis is just like What does 95 mean? Like $95? Like just 95 is the unit, I guess. But maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I don't understand that one, but that is a question that you should always ask with graphs. What are the units and what are they supposed to mean? I didn't know what that meant. If you know, let me know though. But now let's take a look at the most obvious flaw, which actually led them to take it down. And that is the spike is clearly under Joe Biden's presidency. Now, if the Democrats weren't the ones who literally posted this, I'd say, well, there's a lot of factors to grocery prices. And I mean, coming straight out of a pandemic, I mean, like, yeah, obviously there's going to be a spike in groceries, but nah, man. Like, you did that to yourself. I'm not going to try to defend that. I'm not going to try to, you know, like, so they took it down. But look, here's a highlighted version of where Biden's presidency is. So, um, the question I feel like then to ask is, does grocery prices, reflect on what a good president is? Could Joe Biden have helped it? Those are deeper questions, which I don't have the answer to right now, but it's important to know that just looking at this graph isn't going to tell you that, oh my goodness, or Trump is such a bad president because of this graph, which is what they wanted people to do, I guess, but I don't see it working out too much. It kind of backfired. But again, I'm not putting this all on the Democrats. I did basically the first section of the video on the Republicans, so I got to give some to the Democrats. But but yeah, I mean, and if you look at the Trump side, like it looks pretty stable on both of his sides. So I mean, like I really don't know what they were trying to do here. I'm not even gonna lie. All right, so the next thing I want to bring up is weird graphs, like just weird ones. And again, here I have one on the 2020 versus the 2024 election. And I kind of get what it's trying to say, but it's executed very badly. This time we have zero x-axis, zero y-axis, zero source, zero graph, not even a scale. It doesn't even have a scale. Like it's not that it's just over or not going by zero. Like it just does not have a scale. And it's just like boop, like whoever draw this just decide that's how the election went. And you know what? If you could prove to me that these were used based off of accurate numbers, then let's talk. Then that's something very interesting. But if you see a graph like this, don't just immediately trust it. Like there's really nothing going for it. But yeah. All right, so this one isn't politics, but I thought I'd show it anyways because you got to be careful with what you buy. But if we watch this Bounty commercial,
Bounty. Bounty is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less, and it holds up better even when wet.
yeah, so it says that it picks up twice the amount of the leading brand or whatever. But like the thing is, it's not telling us what the leading brand is. So I mean, like, okay, picks up twice the amount as a mysterious brand that we don't know. That's great. But but yeah, I mean, like, maybe it does have pretty good picking up capabilities, but that's not a claim to ride on, I don't think. There's also like these graphs that like have like the image. I'll show you this up on screen, but they have the image and then they have a bigger image to try to show that. These are just like steer away from them too as well, because they don't really give an accurate. A lot of times the width, the height, like they're scaling it inaccurately. So I mean, yeah, these are another ones to stay away from, as well as pie charts. They're kind of infamous a little bit. Oh, there's some pie charts that are just fine, but it's just good to steer away from them most of the time. Um, and also sometimes they like don't even use 100%. Like they go over 100%, and then the 3D pie charts are like where it's the worst. Like you don't want to do those. And the human brain just isn't great at judging angles and stuff. Like it's much better on a bar graph with starting at zero, by the way. But not too bad. Well, okay, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you. I just want to make a disclaimer. I'm not a mathematician. I could have totally been wrong on this, but if I did, please let me know. I'm just here to learn. You know, I'm just a student who sat through half a year of statistics, and this is kind of what I've learned. This is kind of what I have to put out there. But but yeah, if I miss something, let me know. But even if I did miss something, I think the moral of the story is still the same. Is politics, even advertising, they all got fraudulent graphs, bro, fraudulent information. So we got to be on our toes, we got to be checking for why does this graph say that? Where's the proof that this graph is good? And if you've got that mindset, you're going to make it pretty far because you won't be swayed by stupid graphs like these. But with that, I'm out. Please don't get fooled or anything. Do your own research. Peace.